and there will also be a time at the end of our meeting for you to be heard. So with that being said, let's call to order the Tuesday, December 11th, 2018 meeting of the Oklahoma City Environmental Economic Development Trust. First item on the agenda is to approve the minutes of the November 13th, 2018 Oklahoma City Economic Development Trust. Desire of the trustees.
So moved.
Second. A motion is second. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, please cast your votes. And it is so ordered. Ratify the claims. We have a motion and second. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, please cast your votes. And the claims are ratified. Items for individual consideration. Who is going to do the first one?
I'll take it.
All right.
The first item is an economic development agreement with Rural Sourcing, Inc. To create 150 jobs in Bricktown. The agreement is for $450,000. They've made a presentation to you a few weeks ago about this project, and their first year average wage for the new jobs is a little bit over $68,000 a year. And it is like all of our agreements, it is pay for performance. They only receive payment as they create the jobs, and our standard process.
So as the jobs are created and we're validated by our staff,
right.
That's when the money exchanges hands.
That's when the money is paid to them.
I would like to move the item.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, please cast your votes. And it is so ordered. Next up.
I think Debbie Miller is here to help us with this next item, the amendment and change order.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and committee members. Debbie Miller with Public Works Department. I'm here to talk about amendment number 3 and change order number 3 for our ADA Bricktown improvements. The amendment, the main item was removal and replacement of brick pavers. Additional pavers were needed to be repaired once we got out in the field. The change order is to provide an item for crushed rock. There's some pavement that needed to be removed and replaced at Oklahoma, and we needed that for the street. The project should be completed by the end of this year, and I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Questions of Ms. Miller?
By the end of this calendar year?
Yes.
We have a motion to approve.
There's an amendment on the amount.
Do we have to do the amendment first or after this?
The amendment should be first.
Okay. Somebody want to explain this huge amendment of $1?
When we got the agenda posted, we had the amount there at $40,682.80. Subsequent to that, our secretary found the mistake, Ms. Kersey, that it was $1 off, and it should actually be $83 instead of $82. So we had to do an amendment on it for the difference of $1. So and that's what the amendment is.
So we inadvertently have already had the amendment, the item and a second. Can we just do the amendment and then go back to that item?
Yes. It's proper now for a motion to amend.
Okay.
Okay.
Can I have a motion to amend?
So moved.
Second. Any comments or questions? Please cast your votes. And the amendment is so moved. And now we already have a motion and a second on the item itself.
I'd like to make a motion on the change order for that item, please.
And a second. We have a second. Any comments or questions? Please cast your votes. And it is so done. Next item, a gold item. Who's doing the presentation?
This next item is a resolution to approve an allocation of funds for an affordable housing project. If you remember, in the 2017 general obligation limited tax bond authorization, we included about $10 million for an affordable housing program. The council and the trust, since that time, have adopted some policies and procedures related to this program, and this is actually our first allocation of those funds. Ian Colgan is here with the Oklahoma City Housing Authority. They have made a request for funds in the amount of $600,000 to provide 92 units of affordable housing in northwest Oklahoma City. So with that, I'll turn it over to Ian.
Good afternoon, everybody. Again, my name is Ian Colgan, Assistant Executive Director of the Oklahoma City Housing Authority, Vice President of the Community Enhancement Corporation, which is our nonprofit development arm, which is the applicant for this property called Mount Vernon Apartments. We've actually subsequently renamed it Yorktown Apartments, but for ease of naming, we're going to stick with Mount Vernon for the moment. We're honored to be here, not only to be considered for the funding in general, but also to be the first applicant for this new funding. A little bit about Mount Vernon Apartments. It's located on northwest side of Oklahoma City, 4020 North Meridian. It consists of 92 units. It's mainly a combination of 1- and 2-bedroom apartments. Switch the slide. You see the location, just adjacent to Bethany War Acres, but still in Oklahoma City, just north of 39th Street. It's actually tucked in between a number of different apartment buildings, including the Woodbridge apartment complex to the east. Next are some photos of the property. We acquired the property on September 22nd of this year and are currently managing, operating, and beginning construction on the property. It consists of 4 buildings plus a community center, various amenities, 3-story buildings, basement, second and third levels. So a little bit about why we bought this apartment complex. Community Enhancement Corporation, in partnership with the Oklahoma City Housing Authority, has begun a fairly extensive development acquisition process that aims to simultaneously recapitalize public housing across the community and also expand our affordable housing options, recognizing that the amount of supply is very much in short of demand for affordable housing. So some of our program includes the construction of a affordable assisted living facility on 122nd and Western. We just started the renovation of the Sooner Haven Apartments on Northeast 36th Street. We're investing $25 million into that, converting that from public housing to Section 8 through the RAD program. And then this is our third current project. And the acquisition of this property helps us meet a number of different strategic objectives for our organization. The first is we want to look at opportunities to preserve what's called naturally occurring affordable housing. This is actually an official term. There are lending entities, including Freddie Mac, that actually lend towards this concept of naturally occurring affordable housing. Typically, it means properties that were built years ago that may have been Class A or Class B are now probably B- and C properties, and through a process of being in existence for quite a period of time, have just repositioned themselves into what's kind of conceived of as market affordable. It creates affordable housing opportunities without large-scale subsidies that programs like the low-income housing tax credit would provide. This is a really good opportunity for organizations like us to acquire, stabilize, and hold the properties so that they remain affordable. This is especially important given the trends of rents in the community, which are some of the fastest growing in the country. The submarket for this apartment on the northwest side alone grew by 17% in rents in the past 7 years. So you can see the need to make sure we have enough supply because income has not grown by the same amount. Second opportunity for us is that we want to expand our control of units in what we call opportunity areas. This is a growing trend in terms of affordable housing and public housing, where we recognize that the vast majority of low-income housing is in high poverty, high concentration of minority neighborhoods that have mixed results in terms of employment access and educational opportunities. We conducted an analysis of the entire city, to determine what areas were low opportunity and high opportunity based on a number of different objectives, including transportation access, employment access, educational access, and this property was actually located in one of our high opportunity areas. It's important for us to diversify our overall portfolio with locations in areas that we determine to be opportunity areas so that we can provide better access to the ladder of economic mobility for our residents. Third is that this property is actually connected with one of our other initiatives, a property we plan to redevelop. That's public housing that will, like Sooner Haven, be converted into Section 8 and redeveloped. That's a property that we feel has too much of a concentration of low-income subsidized units. We actually want to move some of those units over into this area so that those families have an opportunity to live in an opportunity area while simultaneously deconcentrating the amount in that particular location. So it's a combination of a mixed income approach with this property as well as a future mixed income approach to make sure the balances of subsidized and market rate housing are better for neighborhood stability. Next. In terms of the affordability of the property, so obviously the Housing Authority and the Community Enhancement Corporation, it's our goal to create and manage affordable housing. We actually have a policy that has been created for all our non-public housing properties, this one included, that is designed around keeping our IRS status as a 501c3. Basically, we need to keep a certain amount of units perpetually affordable. The statutes allow us to rent to market rate, or people 80 to 120% of AMI if we need to or want to, but recognizing that the core purpose of the property remains affordable. But that's just generally our policy that we give to our manager to make sure we enforce. Our targeted affordability is discussed a little bit here next. So if we take the concept of area median income, which is a calculation by HUD that determines a level of income and by household size, and there's a spectrum. Typically, affordable housing, although that can mean lots of different things, is typically determined to be 80% or below of area median income. CDBG and home programs that the city administers falls under that category. The low-income housing tax credit serves 60% or below of AMI. The Section 8 program serves 50% or below of AMI in generalities. So if we look at 80% of area median income for the Oklahoma City metropolitan area, between 1 and 4 person households can make $38,000 to $55,000 a year or under to meet that threshold. That's roughly about $971 to $1,300 a month in rent, given a 30% of gross income threshold, which is typically used to calculate affordability, not including utilities. The median household income for a 3-mile radius from the property is about $42,000 for 2.3 people per household. So if we think about the median income for that particular area is around there, right around the 70, maybe 70-ish% AMI. We are targeting our rents between $585 and $650 for 1 and 2 bedrooms. That calculates over to right around the 50% area median income range, which can afford is basically an income between $24,000 and $31,000 depending on the household size, or $600 to $860 a month, again given depending on the size of the apartment. So we intend to do 2/3 of our units around as non-subsidized units, then layer in about 1/3 of project-based Section 8. That aspect of creating an opportunity for some of the residents we already serve with better access to amenities and services, and that generally is targeted between the 0 to 40% AMI range in general. So we acquired the property in September 22nd. We secured a loan, acquisition and construction loan, and we are in the midst of conducting improvements. But because we artificially are keeping our rents low, the value of the property when it is considered by lenders is somewhat restricted. We think if we were a private developer, we probably could have risen the rents to $100 more, $150 more given the market, and not even done any renovations. But we're excited about this property, one, because it allows, we know we can get in and do what we need to do, and it doesn't require the substantial additional resources like the low housing tax credit, which is limited in its availability and is a very complex funding process. Not to mention, we're in competition with other entities to build those units all across the state. We invested $1 million of our own equity to secure this loan, and it's a way that we think we can stabilize properties without cumbersome and overly regulatory subsidies, either through HUD or IRS. The scope of work with the remaining amount of money we feel is enough to stabilize the property and make it nicer. However, we think in order to completely renovate and stabilize the property to a larger extent, we need a little bit of extra money, so that's why we asked for the $600,000. We plan on fixing sanitary sewer improvements, doing various exterior fixes, upgrading laundry facilities, upgrading flooring and bathrooms, adding landscaping, exterior security doors, along other various things. With the GOLT funds, we think we expect to complete the full renovation of the interiors, so flooring, cabinets, appliances, everything, make them a lot nicer than the way they are now. And then do some various stormwater improvements we need to make sure that the drainage going through the site now and in the future is improved both for our property as well as neighboring properties. With that total, it'll be about $17,000 per unit for full renovation. We think that will achieve our goal of recycling this property for another generation while maintaining affordability. Welcome any of your questions.
Questions from the trustees? Yes, ma'am.
And on the 30% that are non-subsidized, they will have the renovation of their units as well, correct?
Oh, yeah. 30% is subsidized, two-thirds is
That's
not.
what I
But
meant.
yeah,
Okay.
every unit is renovated exactly the same.
Okay, excellent. And access to amenities and services, to provide them more access to amenities and services, i.e. the laundry and such as that?
Yes, so we're upgrading laundry facilities. We're looking at other on-site amenities that go beyond just a playground, other outdoor activities, other communal aspects to it. You know, we're actually going through surveying residents to see what they actually want rather than assuming what they want, but we anticipate upgrading a lot of the on-site amenities.
Okay. And what is your current occupancy?
The current occupant, it's about a third empty because we are doing repairs to basement units and then preparing for renovation. So it's a little artificial, but we're going through the construction process, so we have been improving sanitary drainage, basically, of the sewers, and that has required us to vacate a lot of the property, which will then go in and do ongoing renovations and leasing up pretty soon.
Thank you.
What has been the response of the adjoining neighbors to this facility on the plans that are being implemented?
We've talked a little bit with the commercial properties to the south. They like the idea, although haven't really mentioned much in comments. We've been in some communication with Woodbridge Apartments to the east, partly because of the way we have cross drainage. They seem very supportive of improvements made to this property. And then in, I think, general discussions, there seems to be a positive reaction. I know that the day we got on site, residents kind of streamed into the office and said, is it true we have a new manager? Because, we're really excited that this, not only do we have a new manager, but that, this property will be a lot better for us. So that, I think that validated a lot of our thoughts that we can come in and truly create a better property for the residents there and future residents.
Has Sergeant Scala and the SEPTED unit had any influence on the direction that you'll take as far as managing and keeping up the property as you move forward?
So we hired Price Edwards as our manager. They have what I think a long and successful track record of managing both market and affordable properties. I know they're aware of SEPTED concepts, as am I. There's some limited opportunities given it's a fully built out property in terms of what physical improvements we can do, but we are doing things like For instance, the exterior doors have been open. Anyone can just walk into any of the buildings, and they chose to put security screens on individual doors, and we're changing that and restricting access, as well as monitoring access to and from the property from the street. And I know that Price Edwards very much adheres to the philosophies of SEPTED when they manage the property. It is my understanding, secondhand, that the lease-up of this property previously was done in a more laissez-faire manner than we probably are prepared to do so. And I think through the selection of Price Edwards to manage it, we have a good balance of making sure we're doing our due diligence on the tenancy, but also providing opportunity to those who need affordable housing.
Question, Kathy, what we're doing today, if we vote for this, is we're giving Brent the go-ahead to negotiate the contract. Once that contract has been finalized, then it comes back through us here for a final approval and on to City Council for its approval.
That's correct.
So that's the process.
The allocation of the funds, and then there'll be an agreement.
Any other comments or questions? Or we have a motion to approve? Second. Please cast your votes. And it's approved. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Welcome
Have a
back.
good day.
Okay. Economic Development Report.
Yes, the next item on your agenda is an update report from the Oklahoma City Economic Development Foundation, and Jeff Seymour with the Greater Oklahoma City Chamber of Commerce is here to provide that report to you.
Good afternoon, trustees. Thank you first and foremost for your partnership in our regional economic development efforts, and specifically the efforts related to the development of Oklahoma City. Our partnership has been a long and fruitful one, and we're excited about continuing that relationship. The report I'm giving you today is meant to accompany the formal first quarter 2018-2019 fiscal year report that we submitted previously in the year, because fortunately we've all been really, really busy doing projects. We haven't had a chance to sit down and really give you the full report, and that's what we're doing today. So what I wanted to do is start off with was just to make some overarching comments about the direction our economic development efforts are headed, and it does certainly dovetail with the goals of the trust. And the three objectives that we have in our team is to do create additional economic diversity in the region, to create economic opportunity across economic spectrums, and to increase the tax base of Oklahoma City. And so as we look at those macro level opportunities, how our activity filters up to those macro level activities is how we direct our work. So again, tying into the work we've been told to do by the trust. 2018 has been a very tremendous year for us as far as achieving big macro level goals. In this first quarter, we've had 4 project wins, several of which that you, the trustees, have seen and helped us out related to SIP funds. Those new projects just in this first quarter are projected to create over approximately 650 new jobs and a considerable amount of new payroll and capital investment. We also have a tremendous focus on helping existing companies, and of the firms we met with in the first quarter of this fiscal year, 7 of those were projecting new job growth, and you can see the payroll here and the new growth, so about 230 new jobs on the existing company side. So a very strong year so far. This slide just shows the 4 new project wins. 2 of those you were involved with as far as SIP funds. And 1 actually we did a groundbreaking on their new building today downtown. We have to give the obligatory project pipeline slide. This is just meant really to show you, not to talk about the numbers, but just to show you that there continues to be a tremendous amount of interest in new projects in Oklahoma City. Good. We also, from a reporting standpoint, like to show you where we stand related to our bigger macro level goals at the organization, and we measure these with our Forward 5 campaign, which is a 5-year running program to impact Oklahoma City in some big metric areas, and we measure those on a calendar year basis. So these metrics are meant to show you totals from a calendar year basis through the end of September 2018 in a fiscal, or in a capacity of Forward 5 goals. Total job growth we're anticipating based on recruitment projects and helping existing companies is 6,915 jobs, which far eclipses the 4,000 job year goal we have for each year. And, go ahead, we're right on the cusp of meeting our average wage requirements. I would note that included in these goals is Amazon, so that was a significant project that did add significant wages, or significant payroll at an average wage that was a little bit lower than our overall county average, but a significant project we all worked on. Also, you can see the metrics related to capital investment, higher than our anticipated average annual numbers. Go ahead. And additional tax base we're creating, which is right on pace, I think, where we want to be through this part of the year. Go ahead. I also want to give a few highlights on some other specific areas that we do measure. On the retail front, we continue to have some really significant destination retail announcements. The Container Store has opened at their location near Penn Square Mall, and Chisholm Creek continues to have a lot of new development, many projects of which we're involved in at the organization, and we hope that our efforts to bring in developers and retailers from outside the market continues to signal long-term trends of more people looking at our market to increase the sales tax base of Oklahoma City. Go ahead. We also are heavily involved, as you know, in thinking about the future economic opportunities that our market is going to create, and thinking both locally and statewide about the entrepreneurial ecosystem of our state. We're heavily involved in 1 Million Cups. We're involved in an Oklahoma ecosystem forum to think about a long-term strategic plan for entrepreneurship in our state, and we're heavily involved in the conversation with the Alliance about the Perkins and Will study related to the future land use in and around the Innovation District. We're also heavily involved in talent and business growth. One of the strategic pivots that we've made related to our existing industry support is thinking about existing industry support in a way that focuses specifically on talent and skills development. And you're going to see us roll out some really specific programming on that front in the coming year. I will give you a kind of a peek behind the curtain and tell you that the specific areas the economic development team are going to be focused on are related to manufacturing skill sets, specifically automation skills, the skills of the future related to manufacturing, and think about beefing up cybersecurity and software-related skills in Oklahoma City to support our existing headquarters and our existing back office operations, which continue to grow here in our metro market. Go ahead. From just an overall perspective, I just want to let you know that we continue to focus, based on our contract and our overall edict, to focus on outreach. We try to be in front of the people that are making deals happen. That includes the site selectors, companies, and other partners, just making sure we're in front of the right people to tell Oklahoma City's story. In complement to that, we know that 80% of new jobs created in any market are created by existing companies. So a lot of our focus has to be on helping existing businesses succeed. And I gave you a few metrics about our engagement with existing employers. Go ahead. So just in summary, 2018 is a very, very strong year for us. Great job growth, great capital investment, and great wages. And we continue to look into the future and try to make sure that we're really looking on Oklahoma City's economic horizon and designing towards those opportunities to put ourselves in the best position. And that all of that effort is done through partnerships, and the partnership with the Trust is one of our key partnerships, and we just appreciate your support. I'm happy to answer questions, try to be thorough, but also leave time for some Q&A.
Thank you, sir. Questions? Yes, ma'am.
Jeff, what is the Oklahoma Ecosystem Forum? I'm not familiar with that one.
Well, I'd have to let Evan actually talk about that. Did you want to say something?
Sure. So it's kind of a grassroots.
Would you come to the microphone so we can get you on sound?
This is Evan Fay, who leads our in-house entrepreneurship and innovation efforts.
Thank you, guys. So the Ecosystem Forum is a grassroots movement of myself, somebody from the Meridian Technology Center, somebody from OK Innovate, and then somebody from Starspace 46, which is one of our local tech-focused co-working spaces. And we just gathered about 75 statewide stakeholders in entrepreneurship in the fall of, it was in October, to talk about kind of some big picture things that all of us can do to move the needle forward in entrepreneurship as a statewide kind of group. And so we plan to meet quarterly, and in the meantime we have 4 kind of work products that we're working on throughout the year in individual groups. So.
Don't forget, you have some university entrepreneurship schools that need to be part of that discussion and dialogue, and they can offer some insight as well.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, Rhonda. Any other questions or comments from this trust? We've been asked to receive the report. Do I have a motion?
Well, yeah. Until Thursday, right?
Until Friday.
Yeah.
Second. Any further comments or questions? Seeing none, please cast your votes. And is received. General Managers, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
General Managers report.
Don't we have an item E with the meeting schedule?
Oh, we have to take action on that?
Right. Receipt.
Okay. You've received the schedule for next year. We need to have a motion to receive that. A motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Please cast your votes. And it is received. And now the General Manager's report.
Yeah, the general manager's report is in your packet. The financials have been updated through the end of October. To date, we've allocated over $71 million for the strategic investment program for job creation, and then all of the reports related to the tax increment finance districts are included as well.
Comments or questions for the General Manager? Seeing none, no action is required, correct?
Correct.
So we're at that point in the agenda, time for any staff members wishing to be heard, any trustees wishing to have comments, any citizens wishing to be heard. Seeing none, thank you all for your participation. We are adjourned.